Good morning, ladies, and welcome to the last day of National Infertility Awareness Week and the last video of this little series I've done this week. I wanted to jump on this morning and talk about something that my friend actually suggested. And while I'm not an expert, I've certainly done a lot of it, and I have a few tips to help you. And what I'm talking about is waiting gracefully. Goodness knows I didn't do this in the beginning, and I have a lot more grace about how I wait now. So I wanted to share some tips in case one or two of them helps you out along your journey and your wait, especially as the festivities and the good vibes of this week kind of wind down. I know it can just seem like you're going back to the normal humdrum of waiting. Yeah. So if you have any other tips, leave them in the comments below in case they can help out somebody else. But first, my very first and probably most important tip is that I now shorten the time frame that I look at when I talk about waiting. I used to have, I swear, like 5-year plans. And then when we started this infertility journey, I went down to, okay, a 2-year plan. And now, several years into it, I'm like, I got a 6-month plan. That's it. That's all you need. A lot is going to change in that amount of time. And so now I have a 6-month plan. And just by shortening that window that you're waiting, it really helps lower your stress level because you're lowering the amount of variables that can happen in 6 months. Hi, Clarissa. Thanks for joining. Um, and there's just a lower amount of things that can change. And that's part of my next tip is don't be afraid to readjust your plan and your goals as things change. So as I go through these tips, it's a lot about planning and taking stock of things at the beginning of a time interval and at the end, but don't be afraid to change them if something huge changes in your plan or in your situation. Taking a break. Anyway, so first tip, set a shorter interval. Next is look back at the last, month or 2 or 6 and decide what you did well and congratulate yourself on like handling that well. And then identify what you didn't do so well and actually sit down and look at that and decide, okay, is there a way I could improve that? Maybe you were like me and you spent way too much time researching in the beginning. I spent an exorbitant amount of time on the internet looking at different, I don't know, diagnoses and treatments, and it was a waste of my time. In retrospect, there's a certain amount of knowledge that's good, and I know on this channel I share a lot of knowledge that is good, but it definitely got to like a point where it was disruptive. So that was something I identified. And so going forward, I said, I'm only allowed X number of minutes a day to do research. And that really helped lower the stress level of the next waiting period, whatever we were doing. Like if it was that treatment, then I could, research that for just, a few minutes a day and then it stopped. And I really like kind of that time blocking aspect of it. Did you like that, right, honey? Along those same lines is take stock of what you can and can't control. I think a lot of us spend a lot of our time fretting over things that we can't control in a cycle, whether or not it's going to work, and you know, yeah, whether or not it's going to work, right? Isn't that what most of us are talking about? But in adoption, whether or not you're going to get matched, or whether or not she's going to like you, or is it going to get disrupted, da, 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 da. And when you actually write down like what you can control about a situation, it's it's more limited. And that gave me a lot of peace in waiting, is knowing, all right, these 3 things I can control. I can work hard and save money. And along that lines, I can budget. So I can afford these treatments, so I can afford adoption. Okay, what else can I do? I can stick to the diet I know is working and lower my weight, which might be a factor, right? But there's only so many things. You can't control how many follicles are going to happen. You can't control how many eggs you're going to retrieve. You can't control if a transfer is going to work. So that helped me wait better, knowing I can do these X things. I am doing those X things, and that's it. That's it. and then you get to go live the rest of your life and it doesn't have to revolve around that. So that was a realization and a practice that took some practice, but really helped lower down that stress level. Honey, your arm is getting very close to that outlet. Come here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Or me. Sure. All right. So, um, next, I started setting up things at regular intervals that I got to enjoy, rewards, right? I think a lot of us do this with vacations or trips or just girls' nights out or whatever in between treatments and cycles. But knowing at the end of this, something happy is going to be there, whether or not this treatment works, was really important. And if you've been following along for a while, you know, we ended up going on vacations at very opportune moments. And I just think that was really good for our mental health and the stamina to continue with this journey. Definitely having good things to look forward to. And they don't necessarily need to be trips, but like I said, making sure they're there, whether the news is good or bad, you know, was really helpful. And it could be, you know, an outfit or some shoes or some makeup or whatever you want to reward yourself with. But it's like, okay, if I can wait gracefully and nicely through this interval and we get to this landmark, then I get to buy that eyeshadow palette I really wanted, you know, something like that. It just is a motivation. Yeah, it is. I know she doesn't normally get to look at screens, so she's kind of really excited. All right. Um, and finally, get help. I think I started to be able to wait way more gracefully once I gotten help. And there's three main avenues that I just wanted to kind of touch on. One is your friends and family, if you're comfortable sharing with them. But honestly, that's not where I got the most help. Goodness gracious. I honestly got a lot more out of like the infertility community, the local support group that meets once a month around here. There's resolve groups you can check out and other local support groups. I really liked that. That was a good boost, and it was another landmark. It happened every month, and I knew I was going to go be immersed in a room full of people that were going through exactly what I was going through, and that just really helped. And finally, I talked about it plenty on my channel, but do seek out a therapist if you need one. I have to say that unpacking a lot of this and a lot of what I've gone over in the last hour and my own shortcomings was definitely helped out by a therapist talking it through with me. So infertility is a really traumatic thing. It can be. It's definitely difficult at the best of times. So don't feel bad about going and getting help to make sure your mental health stays intact through all of this, because you're putting your body through hell in most cases and it's already mentally taxing. So don't be afraid to get help. And finally, I want to just touch back on it. Once you've tried this for a little while, make sure you sit down, put a little note in your calendar to say, okay, I set these goals to only spend 30 minutes looking at the internet about, people going through this treatment, or, I set these boundaries, and I wanted to go on walks to increase my health, or I wanted to, reduce the amount of sugar I was doing. Make sure you also set a calendar reminder to take stock of how you did and try to iterate and improve on that. And then reward yourself for doing well. Back to the reward bit. So those are just a few tips that I have for waiting gracefully. We've done a lot of waiting through infertility and adoption. So I know it's not easy, and it's definitely the suckiest part. Maybe not the suckiest, probably the suckiest. Close. It's in the top 5. Maybe it's because we do it too often. But I just want to share a few of my tips, see if they help. If any of them resonated with you, you can leave it in the comments. And again, if you have any suggestions for other infertility warriors out there, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And until next time, ladies, keep on fighting. Mwah! Bye.